Greetings, salutations, and other big words. My name's Ethan, my handle's Wrangler. Welcome to Frequency Studios, IronAge Author Spotlight number 2. Today we're going over Starshatter. Uh, got it right here. Starshatter by Black Knight. And here to discuss it with us is the man who wrote it himself, Black Knight. Black, welcome to the program.
Uh, I'm happy you are willing to give me that chance.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. Starshatter, I enjoyed the heck out of it. I want to start this by quoting one line from your book. Bacon is freaking delicious. That right there shows how awesome this book's going to be. Black, what got you into writing?
Um, well, I always loved storytelling. I loved reading, adventure books, and science fiction, and later fantasy. And I just fell in love in storytelling from an early age, and that's actually what drove me to um, work and write my own stories.
Mm-hmm.
And because I always had perhaps uh, way too way too active imagination, um, I uh, I learned how to put it in good use, and slowly, gradually, um, I wrote small stories, um, like very tiny scenes, and conversations between different characters that I imagine. And this one thing led to another, and the day came when I envisioned this um, space opera universe,
Mm-hmm.
and decided to do the the much needed homework, like reading extra material, studying the history, because it was an alternate history universe, Starshatter. And so to create something, you have to learn what had happened already, and imagine something new. You have to have the good foundations. So yeah, it took me about, well, the world building along took me about 10 years with the research.
Yeah, I've noticed it's very expansive world you got. Is Starshatter your first novel?
Yeah, it's the first in the series. Like it's a decalogy. It's like 10 books. It's planned. I managed to plan it from start to finish, with all character arcs, with all side stories, and the character growth, etc., etc. Everything, like from the first book, which is the intro book, which is perhaps, I don't know, but about you, but many people are somewhat, um, how should I put it? They are not used to being introduced to the characters in such a way.
Yeah, I actually like that the way you did it. I'd never seen that before when I read a book.
Yeah, that's the intro book format, which I could allow myself to do it because I'm not writing a trilogy. I have the space, the time. Um, by space, I mean book space,
Yeah.
because it's like 10 books. And by doing it, I have the possibility, like the glorious possibility, to uh, do much more with these characters, to give them greater um, uh, opportunities for character growth, because I've already set them up in the intro book. We have all of their backstories and eventually how they became part of the crew of the ship. And
Yeah, I
in
like
later
that. By the
book,
time they come together as a crew, you're familiar with all of them.
yeah, yeah. So if I was working on a trilogy, for example, I would have taken another approach. I would have done the um, we are meeting in a tavern, quote unquote, uh, approach, which I would have probably be almost forced to go for, because it's like I wouldn't have like enough book space to do it the other way, which is totally fine. I mean, there are plenty of trilogies like in shorter books which follow this way, and it's okay. It's good. It's great.
Yeah. Just real quick down in the chat, we got Asher Burnett who says hail, and Christy Adcock.
Ooh,
Hello, Christy. She's actually one of my beta readers, and she gave me a quick shout out.
oh great.
Yeah.
Hello,
I
hello
got my
guys.
studio cat there. Yeah. So yeah, I was going through there, and you wrote this in English originally?
No,
No, because
I
English is
wrote.
your third language,
English is
correct?
my third language. Yes. I wrote most of the drafts originally in Bulgarian,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to translate them later, many years later, while I was basically teaching myself how to write in English. That wasn't easy.
Yeah. So, but you did the translation yourself, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. It's so that's a lot of work. You had to write it twice.
No, basically, yes. Yes, I did.
That's amazing.
Uh, I'm sure that there are others who have achieved more. So thank you.
Yeah. So let's talk about this universe you've built. And you did mention alternate history. Like for example, I'm reading through and I saw the calendar years of like 1960 or 60s, whatever. And I'm like, I wasn't quite sure, to be honest. Is that was this an alternate history or was this a new calendar and it happened to be in the 1900s? But this is an
Hmm,
alternate history, correct?
yeah, it's a full-on alternate history. It's um, depending on what kind of what level of spoilers. I'm not going to
Yeah, we'll
like.
get to
I'm
spoilers
not.
later.
I'm not going to. But the thing which the first major alternate history event, which the reader will happen to read in the first book. It happens in 1969, um, where certain group visits, quote unquote, visits Earth
Yeah.
with uh, a quite warlike intent, I should say. And from there, this is probably the last of the major alternate events, which uh, completely shift the history of mankind into to another route.
Mm-hmm.
Because after your civilization had suffered in such a way, your view not only of your own world, but of everything which surrounds you, which you now know it's not. Someone will come, and they will be uh, super benevolent, and they will give us technology, and they will heal all of our illnesses, and they will show us the peaceful, super peaceful way, and will prosper. Well, they kind of discovered that not that was not actually how it went in this galaxy. So,
Yeah.
without spoiling, this is all that I'm going to say. And as far as uh, other important alternate history events, let's say I can mention um, that the Second World War it wasn't exactly what ours was, and it's not. I mean, there are things which in some certain events and certain historical figures which do exist and occurred quite almost the same, but others are not. I'll just I'll just say that in this alternate history there are countries, nations that, for example, ancient countries
Yeah.
who still exist today, which, well, this is a major spoiler, so I'm not gonna say it, but it's quite. I mean, when you read about it in the following books, um, you'll be. I mean,
Yeah.
you'll love it.
Yeah. I've only finished the first one. I haven't started the two sons yet, so, or the twin sons.
Yeah, 20 Sons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's talk characters. And
Ooh.
would you like to go through them in the order they were introduced in the book, or do you want to
No, no,
start with the
you
captain?
ask me. You ask me what you want me
All
to
right.
talk about.
Well, let's start off with this quite unique captain, Anitsa. Am I saying his name correctly?
Yeah, yeah, Anita.
Yeah. Yeah. He's he is also in my contenders for favorite character. I got three or four that I'm like kind of swirling around. We'll see how it goes as the series progresses, but like four of them really grabbed my attention, and he's one of them. Tell us about him.
Well, you can see him on the cover together with his second in command. Um, well, the captain is a distinct character archetype, which I at first I had to ask myself really hard, like, do I actually want to do it to write this character into my series? But he quickly grew on me, and by quickly, probably after the first page I wrote him, and it's is quite unique, and his little gray cells um, are some of the most the spryest brain cells in frame space. So
Well,
he
he has plenty of wit, that's for certain.
oh yeah, yeah, he's not he is what I call the hidden hero, because he he's not outright um, shown how to the reader, um, how he achieved his level of skill. He doesn't have like a training montage, let's say, but but the reader is given hints that he spent plenty of time learning stuff, training how to do different things, um, and is not that type of roguish leader who who is there for the glory of it and the riches of it, even though he does um, pursue he does pursue these things. He's mostly in for the wholesome thrill of it all. Is
Yeah,
just like,
he definitely came across as he just wanted adventure. He wanted to have a good time with good people.
yeah, yeah. He's basically looking for a quote unquote interesting interesting.
I love his vetting process for the crew.
Like, okay, so you will ask like these questions, and we will discover many new and interesting crewmates this way. So he's very reminiscent of the old school heroic captains, naval captains
Yeah,
with,
like a swashbuckler.
yeah, yeah, with a sword and a pistol, and like he's always ready to duel someone who who is standing on his on or his friend's way, and or doing something really really bad, because this is what heroes do. They are not just standing idly by and allowing villainy to do whatever they wish. So
Yeah. Now his species. What was the name of his species again?
his species are called the Zentari. They are currently experiencing some civilizational downfall, although they are not at a point where everything is like completely falling apart. But just from that picture of their society, which I gave the reader in this book, you could probably ascertain that things are not like peachy there. There are
Yeah.
some problems, and you have a group of people in their society who are not quite productive or doing exactly what they need to do to succeed. So
Now, as a species, I wasn't sure. I mean, it seems culturally they're very they focus on being very sharp mentally. Are they a little more nimble than the average bear? Because the guy
mm,
can move.
yeah, yeah, they are nimble, and they are quite spry because their organisms produce and use adrenaline in a quite a different way, or maybe I should say not quite a different way, but on a much higher level than us humans,
Hmm.
and meaning that when he needs to, uh, he could boost himself, like he could boost his reaction, both mental and physical reaction, with adrenaline, uh, and he would move and act like, and fight with in great,
Precision and grace, it
yeah,
seemed.
yeah, yeah. But it's not without it requires focus. Not everyone could do it,
Hmm.
um, and then of course it enacts a toll on your body, and you can't do it all the time. It's impossible. It's like you will most probably die. Your heart will, and in their case, like their organism is like, they may look like humans from the outside, but their organism is like their internal organs are different. So
Before we move on to the next character, I would like you to discuss the uplifting process because it applies to a couple of them.
the uplifting process. Well, this is I'm not the inventor of the uplifting process. There are other much older and accomplished authors who did it before me.
Hmm.
But it basically uh, is as follows: like a civilization, a spacefaring civilization would find pre-sentient species of animals, and they will do some genetic alterations on them so they could achieve a higher level of sentience like ours. And let's say that the older galactic civilizations, they're abusing this. They create slaves, basically slave species,
Hmm.
and they would find some like innocent animals, and they would morph them into slave soldier race. um, and when these aliens look at the Terrans, they assume that the Terrans are doing the same, and all of these uplifted species that the Terrans have given sentience to, they assume that the Terrans created a slave worker race, a slave soldier race, and so on and so. But it's actually it's not what the Terrans did.
Yeah,
And
while the other civilizations were making slaves, the Terrans were making friends.
oh yeah, yeah. And this actually this different viewpoint and this sort of massive projection on the alien side, it results in some quite hilarious moments when they, especially when they see the hamsters, let's say, and they immediately assume that these creatures are like some disposable soldier species, and they assume that they have been given like some severe genetic augmentations to become deadly soldiers, which
Hmm.
which the hamsters did not. They- no,
Now, in general, if I caught this correctly, the people that come from an uplifted species, they're referred to as clients,
yeah,
and the species that did the uplifting process for them, they're referred to as the patrons.
yeah, exactly.
All right. Over in the chat, let's say hi to a few people. Hi,
Hello.
Logan. Logan Cryan. Aragmar Virillion. Black Knight. You know that Aragmar Virillion guy?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, that's you. All right. We got James Craig and TJ Marquise. Asher Burnett still here. Or Bernert. Sorry if I said that wrong. Yeah. So, all right. So uh, let's go to the captain's number one, Cat.
Cat or Catherine. Yeah, she's yeah, uplifted from the uplifted gorilla species, and how should I put it? They've been like they were barely uplifted when that um, event occurred in 1969,
Hmm.
and many people, mostly the scientists who were involved in the uplift process, died to protect them, which um, resulted in that blood depth that the gorillas have towards humans. And it's how should I put it? To this day, every time when some of the older alien races meet them, they call them defective clans, um, and because the Terrans are considered barbarians, like it's not. It's because they don't create slave species, and they gave them freedom, and they the usual law that regulates uplift is if, for example, we've created the gorillas, we they would be practically our slaves for like thousands of years, about like
Hmm.
20,000 years or something, before they would achieve some form of self governance. But Cat, she she has um, she has a cybernetic arm, which she uses in battle. And she's also a grenadier and a stormtrooper. She's a heavy soldier. But being a gorilla, of course, the gorillas are not slow. They are not sluggish. They are agile, and this is a terrible, brutal combination of strength, heavy firepower, and agility. And
I
she
like how you made
quickly.
her operate outside her comfort zone a little.
Oh yes, yes. That's a thing which the captain, Anitsa, he the way of his the olden ways of his people, they no, this would be a spoiler, but he actually makes sure to bring out the best in others, in his allies, in his friends, and help them achieve their maximum potential. So this is why, let's say, he gave these ideas, when he spoke to Kat, and she decided to try them out, because otherwise she would have like assaulted like in that chapter she would have just simply assaulted, just like she was trained to do.
Yeah,
And yeah.
charge in, just like almost like a linebacker and clear the way.
Oh yeah, yeah, and she has the weapons and skills to do it. So and gorillas, especially someone like her, in most cases they are quite peaceful. um, they like crafts. They like to build stuff. They like to cook food, bake bread, and it's like baking bread is like a cultural thing for them.
Yeah.
So imagine what happened to someone like her, for someone like her to become like this um, so devoted to her training and skills soldier,
Yeah,
because
and
in the
much
later
to the
books.
Thazarian's dismay, she's
Oh
good
yeah,
at it.
she's very good at it, and in the later books you will read about the main person who trained her, and of course meet with her family. And oh, the thing that I forgot to telling about the uplifted, especially on in Terran space, the uplifted, the clans, they usually have their own family, and they have a human adopted family which they chose, and they have their own parents and their human parents, which are their adoptive parents, because this is like it's a tradition, so they could easily integrate it, become part of the Terra society. Yeah. So Cat, of course, has like some of the usual um, burdens of the gorillas, which is that rage she has to control to constantly keep a check on,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's not easy, but
But then when she has the correct timing to let it loose, oh,
oh,
nice.
oh yes.
Now that is her next to Anitsa on the cover, correct?
Yeah, with the heavy assault railgun, automatic railgun, and shoulder missile launcher. Yeah, and then this suit has an exoskeleton also. So imagine the strength.
Yeah, I would imagine that augments her already incredible strength.
Yep.
Hey, let's go on to another client species, Lily.
The bunnies. Yes.
Yes.
What do you want to know about that?
Yeah, yeah. Things in her life went from 0 to 60 in an instant. But
uh, well, invasion can do that to you.
yeah, yeah. I think she's the only bunny species we see in the entire book. Is that correct? If I remember.
She's the only bunny main character, but there are others. Like throughout the books, they meet other bunnies. It's just not they are not just main characters. They're just
And not to be confused with a client species, Dozen Ra. Or is it Dozen Ray? Dozen Ra?
doesn't really.
Dozen Ray? Yeah, because he from what I gather, he could be easily mistaken for a client species rather than.
Well, he could be mistaken by by probably by somebody who's never heard about his species, the Kira.
Well,
But
yeah, I guess the Kilra are pretty well known,
yeah,
so
they are
that wouldn't
quite
happen.
famous.
But if they weren't known as a species, I imagine he'd be mistaken for a client race.
Oh yeah, yeah, he would. And so let's. You want me to talk about more about Lily or him?
Let's go on about Lily first, and we'll get
Oh,
to
okay.
Dozen Ray.
So the Lily, her Lily, her character, or Lily or Liliana, her character is the um, farmer peasant hero archetype, which
Mm-hmm.
is one of the most widely used in fiction, and it's a bit different because she's a Terran, and as you already know, the Terran children, they receive extra schooling and survival training, because especially those who live on the borders, the border colonies, because it's a much more dangerous environment. And her people, they do not have like great love for warfare, and from the three uplifted client races that the Terrans uplifted, the bunnies are perhaps like the most peaceful, and they usually go into business, shopkeeping, farming, of course, which is really natural for them, and very rarely you could see someone who chose the path of a warrior or a soldier, like Lily,
Mm-hmm.
for example. And in almost all of these cases, like something terrible happened, uh, like in her case, and they devote the rest of their life to making sure that others will not suffer like them, and if possible. Um, and so you know that she's almost like the flagship character of the book, because the very first chapter begins with her, and she's,
And you made us feel for her right away.
oh yeah, yeah, and she's the weakest of all of them, um, and this puts her in a place where she can't do like outright, she can't achieve like heroic feats which others would. The very fact that she managed to survive, no, I'm not going to go into spoiler
Yeah.
territories, but she constantly learns and um, is being taught by the rest of the crew, and they kind of take her under their wing, so to speak, and teach her different things. That's not the case that she's without skills. I mean, she's
Oh,
a
clearly she has
farmer.
skills.
Yeah, she's a farmer. She knows some like computer systems and stuff. Like this is a what she was actually doing as a civilian, as a normal person who's living there, no colonist. Um, uh, but later, oh boy, oh boy, when she trains and gets additional equipment and stuff, ah, really,
She does not waste her power ups. She uses them well.
oh yes. Uh, and about Dawson, his people, they are quite unique in this part of space. By saying this, I mean that they are one of the few truly benevolent alien species, and they don't go around and help everyone. They help only those who are willing to help themselves. If they meet a civilization which is happily like serving under some overlord, or they have accepted and embraced their slavery, and the Kiora will just like fly by and just leave them.
Yeah.
They will only fight and die to liberate those who are willing to fight for their freedom. And as such, there, if you remember how he introduced himself when he went to that tiny colony, it's like the normal races who are not part of the core galactic slavers and like anyone like that, they have a true reverence for the Kiora. They uh, it's not like they worship them, but they have great respect for them and
Hmm.
their sacrifices. And sometimes, like ordinary people are willing to die because they know that certain Kiora, they live up to 350 plus years, and they're,
How long?
you 350,
Oh, 350.
350, and they realize that by giving their life, that Kiora will live longer, and he or she would help many thousands of people. So this is like some people would do that. And our character, Dawson, is a morale officer, is part of the Terran morale office, the corps, morale officer corps, which their duty is to help. um, lead soldiers and inspire them and counter enemy propaganda and lift uplift the spirits of everyone, so they wouldn't succumb to depression and become weaker because of
Well, the
that.
guy
So,
just bleeds inspiration, you know?
oh boy, that's just the beginning. This is like one of my readers said. This is Dozan on easy mode. This is Dozan on easy mode, actually. When you read the second book, Twin Sons of Karola,
Yeah.
especially in the end, you will you will see him do probably what a lot of others, many other Terran moral officers wanted to do, but he was the first who did it. I'm not gonna spoil it, but this is something which he is awarded a medal for. It's not something that the Terrans easily do. They're not just like the North Korean communist generals with the thousands of medals from their neck to their to their knees. No, 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 no. Um, and if you remember, the people actually arm the moral officers. They're not like they don't have um, the organization. The organization actually gives them the training, and they may give them jobs like different tasks um, after their teacher taught them, their mentor taught them, but the organization will not give them weapons or anything else. The weapons are provided by the people. And if you remember that scene where he had his sword and his gun, his pistol,
Hmm.
this is quite iconic for all Terran moral officers, no matter where they come from. This is their graduation ceremony, so to speak. So yeah, it's probably one of the most beloved characters.
Yeah. Now, if you could give everyone a physical description of his species.
Hmm. Well, Kiora are quite tall, very strong. They are tiger-like, though they do not have tails or whiskers. And like I said, they live up to 350 years. And they are famed for their wisdom and their physical prowess. And of course, they are also famed for helping and protecting those who deserve it. And they have like very short fur, very short fur, and it's different for each subspecies of Kiora. The colors are different.
So we'll probably be meeting a few more of those as the series progresses.
Well, yes. I want. I don't want to spoil this.
Fair enough.
You will see. This is there is another character also very uh, quite quite interesting, and because Dawson is a young Kiora and this other Kiora is very old. You'll see when you get to that.
I look
Let me
forward to it.
see. Okay.
Would you uh, would you like to go into the spacers?
Ooh, the spacers. Well, the spacers are quite unique. They are a group of like different groups of humans, mostly most and larger group, like the most widely known and larger group of spacers are they are Russians, different Russian families,
Hmm.
which after the Second World War and the devastation that everyone suffered, the probably Russia was one of the most affected uh, countries, and they were driven to look for other possibilities for economical growth and such. And so when in like in the late in the early 50s, like the space exploration began, these were the first people, well, not only Russians but mostly they were the first people who went out in space on smaller explorational vessels of exploration, and they mapped different wormholes, scanned and explored planets, and it was in this huge and quite dangerous area of the galaxy. It's called fringe space, which is where all of the books are taking place. Like all the adventures are set in there, and they found um, terrible anomalies. They discovered derelict ships filled with ghosts, monsters. They found destroyed civilizations which destroyed themselves with weapons of mass destruction or artificial intelligence. They found a lot of things, and this is why, let's say, the character of Vasilisa, who is the spacer character in the books, she strongly dislikes artificial intelligence because she's an explorer, and her family they have visited and mapped like many worlds which destroyed themselves. The civilization destroyed themselves because they yearn to have like a lot of AIs, so they could control all of their production, let's say, all of their military defensive capabilities and such. And of course, it because they were going it going at it the wrong way. They were these civilizations, they destroyed themselves. And basically, what the spacers are doing, they are either mapping different hyperspace routes or wormholes, looking for habitable planets, exploring them, or looking for derelict spaceships or stations, and acquiring old technologies. Um, in most of the cases, they are traders. They are what it in space is called haulers, because they hold cargo. Um, and they make sure that these tiny colonies on the border, each of them, each of these colonies, they have good trade routes between each other, so they can support themselves better. They have like access to the goods and production capabilities from a nearby larger colony, so they can grow. And of course, in many cases, the spacers are also acting as corsairs. So they are attacking slavers. They are looting their ships and such. So it's one of the, and their culture is, it's like they have their own distinct culture. They have uh, specific music which is called Navi pop, which is an electronic and slash traditional music with traditional motives. Um, if let's say this is like a Russian spacer family, they would so some of them would compose this, and this is used, this is listened to when it helps them navigate through hyperspace. it gives them focus when they are listening to this music. It's not just some music. So yeah, and they have specific iconography. They love painting um, scenes of their adventures, like their achievements on their spacesuits and their ships, which gives them a rather unique look, I should say.
Yeah. And perhaps we can from there talk about her other half, who is half human, half Aryan, I believe.
Yeah, yeah. It's if you remember from the old UFO stories, if you watched some of these documentaries about the tall blonde aliens who
Yep.
come to Earth from the Pleiades or Sirius. I forgot. And it's in this universe. It's they came um, very well, not that early, but early. They visited. They had like um, great relations with humans. They mingled, and
Well, by his
it's
existence, the two species are clearly compatible.
yeah, yeah. That's what I was about to say. It's like it's not usually that case. It's almost impossible to find alien species who can have like offspring. And Ulrich, as a half human, half space alien, he has access to these abilities, these healing abilities, which can he can do a lot, but not everything. They there are people who in this universe who assume that the half Aryans are like the original Aryans, that they are exactly the same, but it's not so because they have a huge limit on their powers. They can heal, but it's not.
Only so
It,
much at once.
yeah, 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 and what like there are legends about these ancient Aryans who could even bring people back to life, like regenerate entire limbs and such. This is like it's impossible for him. But
Yeah.
the healing part is quite possible because he trained. Um, he did it also a lot since he's a marine. He's been fighting in space for many years, like about 50 years, um, and he probably saved his comrades a lot of times and himself. And he's as a character, he's more like the paladin character, paladin archetype. Um, but as someone who lost so much and has been through so much fighting and death, he suffers from PTSD, just like for example Lily, but his is different um, because it it he's been fighting with it and trying to heal his mental wounds like for decades. Uh,
Whereas
and
lilies are fairly fresh.
Yeah, fairly fresh. Yeah, and back in the day when he went with his friends on that ship, that destroyer, uh, to strike back at the enemies who attacked Earth. They didn't have much. They only had what they had on the ship. They didn't have reinforcements. That's this part you've read it, and he is quite interesting in the way that he keeps uh, fighting his own demons with unrelenting ferocity.
Would would you like to talk about the big guy next?
The big
Or,
guy.
or were you still finishing a thought?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think I did finish it. I don't want to spoil any more else. It's like um, I could go into more detail and say let's say that there are other um, tribes of people who were directly engaged with the space aliens. Like you have the Magi, the Nubians in Egypt,
Mhm.
who are also descendants, and they have this blood. And then you have people in China, in Japan, in India, um, in the Nordic countries, in even in Australia. Like you have different people. They're not just let's say they're not all of them are Caucasian, and not all of them are Asian, or not all of them are Nubian, black, etc., etc. It's the the gene is almost everywhere, but these are the most prominent groups which could actually manifest these abilities and heal. So
So it's like anybody could have some of that in them at this point in the timeline.
yeah,
Then,
yeah, it's because people, they intermarried, they mingled, it's like and migration of the Indo Aryan tribes, nations across the world. Like they kind of seeded that, they seeded it everywhere. So, and even before that, it was pretty much everywhere. So you
yeah,
can say
you
that.
said 10 years to world build, and yeah, you've got a lot in there and more.
Oh yeah. So I should talk about Brunner next.
About what?
Brunner.
Yes, please.
Oh, so what do you want me to say about him? It's um, is this is the result of let's say few years of extra research and the things that I learned about giants, because to us he's a giant, but
Hmm.
when he goes back to his dimension, when he goes back to Asgard, he's not a giant. There are other giants there who are bigger than him, bigger than his people. So that's a that's a thing which people should realize, that when when he's here, we call his people, these guardians, we call them giants.
Hmm.
But if we go to his dimension, his universe, then he will no longer be giant. There will be,
Is he just of average size, or
yeah, he's a bit taller for his race. And as you know, his parents were kind of um, quite demanding. They expected things which were impossible because of his condition, and that actually drove
Which
him
I don't
away.
think you've quite expanded on that in
No, no,
Starshatter.
that's
Will
an.
you? You will
Uh,
in futures,
oh yes,
I
yes,
believe.
yes.
Sweet,
I
because that was curious, and
of course that's the idea.
yeah, it worked.
And he's someone who is actually like a self-made man. He had to teach himself new things which were not traditional for his culture. And as you know, he became an engineer. He also uh, trained to become a pilot of mechs,
Mhm.
battle mechs. Um, and also he learned the earth ways of boxing.
Yeah, and when we get into spoiler discussion, I got a question about that I didn't
Okay,
quite
okay,
understand. I don't want to bring it up yet
okay.
because
And yeah, is that the his people are the reason why Terran ships, Terran spaceships are built a bit bigger, so you could accommodate them. But generally, most spaceships are built like with most ships in this universe are bigger, and they have like they're taller and wider because you have these machines, these smaller mechs which are the size of Brunner's people,
Mhm.
and this is probably one of the best way to actually counter his people with something that is on equal on par with them. And there are like theories that this technology, there's like the entire mech tech is was envisioned and designed and created to counter his people or aliens that are of his size. Like this is it's much easier to fight someone that big with an equivalently powerful and big weapon that then just like if you are, let's say, 5 feet tall and you have like a pea shooter, then it's, it's not going to be easy to topple uh, someone like Brunner with this.
no, no,
So and you're
I
not
wouldn't
gonna
want to piss them
have
off.
no, no, no. You're not gonna have a good time, and it's. I mean, it's if you are trying to run away from someone like Brunner. Oh boy, it's like trying to run away from a tank. It's not a fun thing to do. And if he gets to you and he punches you,
Ouch.
ouch.
Okay, I think there's three more main characters to cover, if I'm remembering. I'm not leaving anyone out, I don't think. Let's get to. Oh, I just went blank on his name. He grew up in the mines and tapped into his mental abilities.
Oh, Boris. Yeah,
Yes, Boris.
yeah, Boris. Oh, Boris. Boris is a telepath, and he had the unfortune being captured and sold as a slave. He worked in mine digging uranium, and he should have, like by all accounts, he should have died there. But he uh, displayed exceptional will to survive and persevered, and eventually ensured that that entire complement like of slavers slave guards uh, was destroyed, was killed off, and escaped the mines by freeing the rest of the slaves. But he, as you know, he has this um, burden in his mind, in his soul, is the I don't know if I should talk about it before
Yeah,
we spoil it.
it's tough to talk about him or his other half without just going into full blown spoiler here.
Yeah. So, well, basically, he became a detective out of out of necessity to survive, uh, to be able to exploit the slavers and their criminal connections, their criminal enterprise. And this is what mainly helped him survive there and eventually organize his escape. Plus, he found a way to train his telepathic abilities against all odds. And this is, in most cases, Terrans don't fall into, they don't get captured and sold into slavery, especially the modern Terrans. They are more likely to kill themselves instead of uh, being captured.
Which seemed like was his plan
Yeah,
until they unexpectedly all got knocked
yeah,
out, hit with knockout gas, and he woke up already too late to do that.
yep.
So Plan B, revenge.
Oh yes, and he was lucky, by the way, because in most cases the slaves get chipped or they get mind shackled by a telepath, and then you have like you're totally screwed.
Yeah,
You're just a piece of flesh that obeys.
you're a biological robot at that
Yeah,
point,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
zombie.
yeah, yeah. You just obey. And these chips, these modern slave chips, like especially this part of time in the universe, they are manufactured by the Von matriarchy because they use them on their own men to have an army, basically a slave army.
Oh yeah, there's another character I almost forgot, but I don't think he could come up at all until spoilers. That would be Ort.
Yeah, yeah, or horde.
So we'll save him for the spoiler section,
Yeah,
probably
and
along with Boris's other half.
yeah, the Kira. Well, Kira is she's the she becomes the ship's doctor because she trained herself to do it while she was being experimented upon. Because she's an Averna of the Averna race, and they have some of them have this ability to talk with universal consciousness, and for that she's called a witch by other aliens because she has access to certain wisdoms, etc., etc.
And
But
their
not only
species
that.
sounds like they're just beautiful people,
Oh yes, they are,
visually.
and that's their tragedy. That's the tragedy of it. Yeah, and I get into much more details in the following books, and there is a book which is books number 6, which is set entirely on her home world, and
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to say what actually happens there. But you can imagine. So basically, she's an average Averna before she got captured, and through that ordeal, she lost limbs and other things from being taken from her, and she was experimented upon by this von matriarch as a scientist, quote unquote scientist. And Devon, they are doing these experiments for a reason. It's not just like, oh, we want to do this for just like that for fun. No, no, no. There is a reason for that, and you will learn in a later books. This is they are doing it because they are getting something out of it. They are not just, oh, I want to torture someone. No, no. there is a incentive, I should say, and she hones her abilities, her natural abilities. She hones them, and she gets to learn a lot of medical procedures and other techniques because she's in a medical lab, and she absorbs all this knowledge, and basically throughout the years, because it didn't happen overnight, that she was there like for a long time, many years, and she
Yeah, like,
constantly
was it like
observed this.
13, 14 years she
Yeah,
was there?
yeah. And she basically taught herself how to become a medic. And since this is also a cybertech lab, and they were constantly experimenting with cybertech, the Vaughn, she also learned cybertech. So when the time came and they brought Ort to do more experiments, like on a different species, because they are constantly doing these experiments, she saw she used the chance, and this was an opportunity for her to try and escape. And then something else happened, but
Yeah.
that's spoiler territory.
All right. So before we get into spoilers, there's one last guy we got to talk about. This guy lives up to his namesake. Tell us about Awesome.
Ooh, yes. Well, Awesome is just a small hamster, uplifted hamster. Is He has mastery over his chosen field as being a starfighter pilot,
Mm-hmm.
and he can also employ brutally efficient jokes, which is the way of his people. They can achieve great results with these jokes, and of course, it's one of the things which the other alien species who attack the Terrans, they hate them for it, because they could the hamsters can cause them severe mental trauma with these jokes. They basically they troll them to death. They troll them to death. So Awesome, he starts as pilot whose ship is got attacked by pirates, and he escapes. Is the only one who escapes, who survives, and he finds himself on Derelict space station, Terran space station, and from there certain things happen, and he finds a friend, and by a friend I don't mean a physical friend. It's more like a digital friend.
That you mentioned that, I kind of think maybe I should have included her as one of your characters too, because she is.
Oh, she
Yeah,
is.
she definitely is.
And he survives there on that station, uh, and this digital friend is an AI, or a VI, I should say, as he knows, he assumes that she's a VI, and the difference is that the virtual intelligence programs, they are not,
Sentient.
well, they're not fully, they are semi-sentient, and they have like severe restrictions to their programming, and they, after a certain time, they get the delete themselves.
Well, she strikes me as more
You'll see.
sentient
You'll see.
from what I saw because she does get pissed.
Oh yes, she does get pissed because
Emotions present.
yeah, she's
Yeah,
not
she's more than a VI.
she's not, and she's also not the usual AI. She's not she's not being machine coded. She's been mind coded, and basically she was coded in the mind of another person.
Oh,
Yes.
so
So
by that do you mean?
her father,
I'm just gonna hit
her
this now
father
because
Sinclair. Yeah.
yeah. So is her base program pretty much the mental algorithms of a pre-existing person?
Well, not that. Well, yes, she has his entire memories, like everything, and she's capable of feelings. So this is, I mean, the Terrans, they do not usually like AI per se because they've seen the destruction and the problems that could arise. Um, and this is a brand new way of doing things for them, and they experimented with this, especially Sinclair. Like he experimented with this on a very distant station in the middle of nowhere. So if something happened, they wouldn't be like spreading it around. And there is also that different thing that they found, certain obelisk computer core alien, if I remember, which the Tazarans took with them, and it vanished later. But yes, Alice is quite a different type of an AI, and she's capable of great emotional range. And the most important thing is compassion, um, in which she can relate to her human father and like the rest of humanity, the Terrans. So yeah, it's uh, it's one of the the great differences between her and other AI.
All
And
right.
awesome is her first friend.
Well, that's a pretty good first friend to have because awesome truly is awesome.
Oh yes,
As
you will see.
I was grinning ear to ear every time he did pretty much anything.
Especially
And
in the second book when he's in his element, flying his ship, his starfighter. Oh boy.
yeah, and I do like his the painting that was on his hull there. I was just trying to find it. I had bookmarked it at some point. And I was going to share it on screen, but I couldn't quite find it. But when
Um,
when you described it, when you showed the picture, it's him doing this. But when you
mhm.
described it in the book, I thought he was flagging a double bird instead.
He on the ship, like on the top um, part of the ship.
Yeah.
There is like painting of him flagging the boat.
Okay,
But
so I did read that right.
yes, yes, yes.
Oh, okay.
It's just not in the we did not include it in the original drawing of the ship because it was commissioned for a child. The original image was commissioned for a child. That's why we didn't
Yeah.
include it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? That makes more sense. It's like, for the public show, you want to see the thumbs up, but in the book where the grit is happening,
Yeah, and I mean, this was commissioned for a little girl, so it
yeah, yeah,
wasn't.
you don't want to put a double
No, no,
bird
no,
for a
no,
kid.
no, no, no. So yeah, that's the thing about the different characters. without and mostly without any extra spoilers. So now it's time for spoilers.
Yes, sir. Shall we start with Ort?
Ah, well, or
Because how he becomes who he is kind of a spoiler in itself. That's why I was saving him for here.
yeah, yeah. He is he was the body was a mind wiped Akita Inu, like one of these very cute Japanese dogs. But initially, the Terrans have this initiative to this program to bring a group of dogs to modify them and to um, create. It's not to uplift them generally, but make them very close to that. And
Just to
they,
enhance.
yeah, just enhance them, and they only enhance the dogs that are willing. They use the telepaths to do it. Like the telepaths ask the dogs if they're willing, and like most dogs are willing. They're like, "Yay, fun! I'm gonna." And it's like um, this is dogs are intelligent. They have the intelligence of a small child, and the humans, the Terrans, they make sure not to abuse that. So
Mhm.
they ask them, they tell them, okay, so we're going to do this and this. We'll give you this genetic augmentation. We'll make you bigger. We'll make you stronger, faster. We'll give you this implant, this stuff, like so you can run faster, jump higher. Your teeth will be metal, like your bones will be metal. You'll be almost like the Wolverine, what they did to the Wolverine without the super healing stuff and
Yeah,
like
I was wondering about that because it's like this dog, he's unusual size. I was actually wondering if he was like a Great Dane or something. He was so
no,
big.
no, no, no. He's Akita,
Oh,
and
Akita.
yeah,
They're
and
gorgeous dogs to begin with. Do they need any enhancements? They're pretty rough as they go. They're pretty
well,
capable.
it's you
Well, I mean, to
and
bite metal, he needs enhancements.
yeah,
Yeah, but
white metal you need the enhancements, and he's the mind which Kiara transfers into him after she uses like the machines in the lab, in the cybernetic lab, to give the dog like the brain, the dog brain, the ability to accept this mind, which is from a higher sentient being.
yes,
She
a
had to
gentleman named
modify it.
Ort,
Yeah, yeah,
who
yeah. He's
he himself was a child for what was left of his
yeah. He
consciousness,
was
right?
well. They are all like it's like all Von men. They are uh, when they're cloned, when they're created, they're given this slave control chip, and you're basically locked inside your mind, and you're forced to obey your body is forced to obey the orders, and basically you're given a weapon. You're outfitted with like all sorts of gear, and you're sent to kill or like
And all these
uh,
poor guys, their whole existence is like a living hell,
yes,
just
it's a living nightmare.
stuck inside this body that you do not command.
You do not have command, and you're just witnessing all of these horrors and these atrocities that your body commits without being able to stop it. And most of them, they go crazy, and if the chip malfunctions, they kill themselves because they can't. It's like it's impossible.
Which,
So
for many
imagine.
of them who still have any form of coherency, that's almost their goal at this point.
Yes, yes, yes. And later, I because each character has their own distinct story arc. Later, I go into much greater detail, and it's probably one of the best story arcs in the series. But he was lucky that he actually Kiera was there in the first place, and she could use her her abilities to touch his mind. And he was probably one of the soldiers which had, how should I put it, the most unbroken mind, the most cohesive mind. Yeah, because he wasn't fully. He still had a lot of
Coherency,
yeah,
lucidity, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah. He wasn't fully lost. Like he wasn't. He still had some control of his own man. He wasn't fully mad. Like most of them, they were fully completely crazy after all of the years of genocides and stuff that they were forced to commit. So
So some of the things that they go through, I'm like, it almost breaks my brain just comprehending what would the existence like that be like. And I'm like,
well,
I am
that's
so
that's
grateful. This aspect is fiction, you know.
mm, that's why Terrans kill themselves instead of allowing themselves to get enslaved, because this is what some of the slavers are doing. They put a slave chip in your brain and they send you to do horrible stuff.
Yeah, and you got to remember that and live with
Oh
it, even though
yes,
you can't do
yes.
anything about it.
You can't do anything about it. You're just locked inside your mind and just see, hear, and like this is it's pretty horrible. So yeah, Ort is he soon becomes a pretty one of the quite important characters in the bunch. In the second book, you will see another character, which is the last character I introduce for the main group, plus all the baddies. I mean, not all of them, but most of them, because you gotta have like um, the antagonists, and you gotta have the chief antagonist, the chief baddie. And of course, I um, there are some who survive in this book,
Yeah.
and they later join the group of baddies, like that Tazaran captain who ran away from Alric, if you remember.
Uh, trying to. Yes, yes. That was. Yeah, that's right. That one got away,
He got away
and
after.
I think he vowed that he will find him.
Yeah, he was basically shitting himself in the end. He was like running away from Auric, while Auric was slaughtering his what was left of his crew, because Auric is a star marine, well trained star marine, with 5 decades of experience doing exactly that. And he's like, the crew that this captain had was like force conscripted Tazarans with literally no experience, and he was expecting to salvage a ship, which you don't actually, when you're salvaging a derelict ship, you don't actually expect someone to, like a person of this caliber, to attack you, to be there in the first place. You're just expecting a lot of hard work, chopping the ship to pieces, and hauling it to your base of operations where they can disassemble it, and he didn't, like they didn't expect that. The very fact that Vasilisa was there was like, oh shit, like uh, what is happening. um, and he kind of did. She kind of did a number on them because of her own training, which she, you know, her training was even harder than that of most humans because she was a spacer, and you can't expect a regular Terran to survive something um, which she's expected to survive, like exploring derelict ships and fighting off like monsters and stuff. Like regular Terrans, they have to know how to defend themselves and they have to know how to pilot ships, like simple, very simple ships, and fix their ordinary gear like spacesuit or something to maintain their weapon, etc. Like everyday stuff.
They got
Like
to act very individualistic in
yep,
very harsh places.
yep.
We got a question in the chat. Philip Barajas, if I think I'm saying it right. Not being too aware of this book, can I ask what inspired you to write it? I know we kind of went over that at the beginning, but a quick little refresher for him. He just joined.
Well, it's not just one book; it's a full series of 10 books, of which 7 are out. I'm working on the eighth, and eventually all 10 will be published. Well, what inspired me? Well, mainly the whole idea of having this really, really aspirational universe, which is not an utopia, but where humanity is not just this um, typical Hollywood. Oh, we are all humans. We are bad. We are evil capitalists, scum lords. We enslave everyone. We oppress everyone. We're destroying the nature. We're killing this and that. We're ruining everything. It's just like even in our reality, this is not true. This is just the skewed view of these. Um,
Of our culture and our world.
yeah. It's this is most humans are not like that even here. That's
Yeah.
and probably this is the main thought behind creating this entire universe is that what would happen if this occurs and what would be the repercussions and how it will change humanity, how the future of humanity will be transformed, and then if you add this ancient thing, let's say we have ancient Egypt. It's not vanished. Egypt is here. It's still here. So how will the international relations change if you have this old civilization which is still around and it still has like the old knowledge and maybe some archaeotech left from the Atlantean times, and then when you add different aspects like uh, these energy beings, the good and the bad energy beings, and like the bad are the unlife stuff, which you will read later a lot more about, and they are the opposite of the those who can command, like the half-Aryan humans who can command this healing energy, this life energy. They are the opposite. The unlife are the opposite of them. They are created in death. They are created in destruction. They are.
Also, over in the chat, a drink with crazy says good morning,
Oh, good morning.
and Kiko Man says show you, show me. I read that backwards. Show me, show you, Kikoman. Black Knight. Woo!
Oh, hello guys. Nice to have you in the chat.
If anyone in the chat's got more questions, throw them up
Oh
there
yeah,
while
yeah.
we got them.
What else were you about to ask me before the spoiler part?
Honestly, I can't remember.
You were thinking about something about the. I think the was it about the weapons? I don't know. I can't remember.
Oh, it was the boxing.
The what?
The boxing. The Asgardian boxing. He was when he was practicing. He was actually using his bare knuckles to smash rock while
Oh
he was
yeah,
practicing, right?
yeah,
And the guy who came along and challenged him beat him.
yeah.
Was that a just regular old human that did that?
Oh, it's not a regular human. That was one of the most powerful and experienced boxers at the time, Rocky Marciano.
I mean, species wise.
Yeah, he's like a really buff human, really strong human,
Okay.
and he could defeat Brunner because Brunner didn't know had no idea how to properly fight. I mean, he could fight, but not against a master of this caliber. And there is a saying: the taller they are, the harder they fall, which is like if you punch where you have to, and you could punch someone who is not as agile, is not as fast, because he's like as guardians. Generally, they are not super agile. They are strong, they're big,
Okay.
but
So
like
Rocky was much quicker, and
the boxers like they have the footwork is magnificent. Just to look them, just look at their footwork. This is it's probably Brunner attempted to punch him, but he was so slow because he never trained proper boxing. He was
so
just
he
punching.
didn't get that instinct to anticipate, get them
No,
where they're
no,
gonna be rather than where they
no.
are.
And he would just like hit air, and the guy was dancing around him, just like in most cases where you watch like a boxing match of like a rookie against a professional boxer, where the boxer is just
Tire them out,
evading,
then move in
dodging.
for the kill.
Yeah, just dodging the blows, and then countering and hitting. Like in this case, he would hit him in the knees, in the legs, in the kidneys, in the stomach, and like after a few body blows from someone, from a super professional boxer, that's like even this Asgardian will fall. It's just
Yeah.
it's it's inevitable.
Okay,
And
now I understand that, because I also, I think while I was reading it in my mind, I kind of oversized them a bit too.
yeah, it's let's say du- 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 du. Well, a lot of people, by the way, they oversize him, but he's like 4.5 meters tall.
Is
Brunner,
that about the
15 feet,
15?
15, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I should have learned metric. I mean, it's simpler. It's all by tens, but I'm just so used to inches and feet
Yeah,
that
I use like the other stuff like the feet and the inches on purpose, because I knew that most of the people who would read this, they would be using it. So, and I also used the metrics because I knew that a lot of eventually a lot of people from Europe and other places, they will
yeah.
read it. So
I
it's
think it's become more common here, where folks are more familiar with both systems. Now, mathematically, I think the metric system is simpler, makes more sense. Like I said, it's all by tens.
Yeah,
Yeah. But having grown up, you know, I, in a family of construction workers, we got our rulers, so we're like cutting lumber and everything. Everything is done in inches and feet. So
hmm
that's how my mind was
that's
trained.
what you
That's
know.
how I
Yeah,
tend to think.
exactly. And now you understand, after we talked about this, now you understand why they have these mechs that are the size of Brunner, the size of his people. Because if you're some regular Humi and not some super professional boxer, and you get this suddenly this almost almost 5 meter tall, like giant pops up at you. It's like, how are you going to even like run away from him or her? How are you,
Well,
you
it's a
can't.
long stride, so
Oh yeah, it's a huge stride.
your best bet is to
Unless
run in circles, not get hit until he's too tired.
maybe,
Yeah,
maybe,
maybe.
but you don't forget that this person, this Asgardian, they may have like ranged weapons. They may have, and if you can imagine that the rifle, no, not just the rifle. Let's say the pistol that the size of the pistol that this 15 feet tall humanoid uses is quite big.
Yeah, a literal hand cannon.
Oh yes. And then if you give him a rifle, it's a proper cannon. The rifle. This is
Yeah. It uses a cannon for a pistol and a tank turret for a rifle.
maybe, but in the second book you will see what he gets to have as a weapon and such.
Speaking of which, let me pop that back up. If I hit the right button. There we go.
Yeah, yeah. He his machine, the thing that the mech that he built and everything is it's pretty. It got a lot of readers interested in, because there are some of the readers who never thought about these types of engineering marvels like the mechs, even though it's probably ubiquitous in current science fiction, that you have like big robots, quote unquote robots, piloted robots. But
Almost like in the 90s, you almost weren't allowed to do sci-fi without some kind of hovercraft.
oh yeah, and they have them here. It's just that you can't use them anywhere with anomalies. If you go to a place that has different anomalies, like especially gravitational anomalies, it's almost suicidal to fly around in this hover car type of vehicle. And that's why one of the reasons that the Terrans are using a lot of wheeled and tracked vehicles, because they have settled on these planets which have these anomalies, like fringe spaces rife with anomalies. So yeah,
And
that's a
sometimes
thing
just
which,
good wheeled traction. In
oh
some
yeah,
cases, you just can't beat it.
you can't beat it.
Like
And this
a
is this
hovercraft
is
versus a 18 wheeler. I'm putting my money on the 18 wheeler.
hmm and they love using this fact, like this uh, their vehicles, their tracked vehicles and wheeled vehicles, as a huge advantage in battle on these planets. You'll see in the following books. You'll see how they can use the terrain. They use the knowledge of the terrain of in these different anomalies, and how it helps them to achieve uh, an advantage over their enemies, whom of like most of whom are quite arrogant. I might say. It's like, yay, we have huge empires. We have giant militaries, and these like puny Terrans over there. They have like few dozen planets. Um, who do they think themselves are? Like this is we will surely beat them, and then something happens, and they don't beat them.
Yeah. You got seven in this series on the
Mhm.
shelves now. 8 is in the works.
Yeah, number 8 is in the works. So the 7 books are like the first one is titled just Starshatter. This is the intro book. Then the second book is Twin Sons of Carola, which is where their first adventure as a crew begins.
Mhm.
And then you have the third book, which is Threads of Vengeance. Is It's a continuation of one of the most important character arcs. Um, then it's yeah, they are arranged in the proper way. So yeah, you can see the first one is Starshatter, the second one is Twin Stars of Carola. The third one is Threads of Vengeance. The fourth one is Von Braun's Gambit, which is not set on an alien world, but is set on Earth, because they have to come back. They have to return for various reasons.
And sometime
Mostly,
you got to visit your roots.
oh no, it's mostly because they come back because of what happens to Brunner. But let's not go there. And then after the all of the commotion and everything which they had to do on Earth is finished, is done. They go on another adventure, which is they visit a planet called Lotoria, which is the fifth book, Secrets of Lotoria. And this is probably it was the my regular readers love this book a lot. They it's because of the entire setup there, and the thing that I managed to pull off is almost like a science fantasy setup, because they went on that planet and they had to not use their regular gear
Mhm.
because of the because the planet was really backwards, and it wasn't they didn't have any space age tech, and if you use a way too powerful weapon, you would kill innocent people if you miss a shot.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna say anymore. It's really this is it's a book which I invested a lot of research so I could be able to write it. And the final liberation, book number 6, is it's set on Averna, the planet of Averna, where it's like Kiera's homeworld. They actually go there, and it's also like set up in the previous books, because Boris used his growing influence and did some sending of committing of assets there, so that the soil was ready for an an operation, a military operation later in the future.
Mhm.
And this is what happens is probably after they said that the Secrets of Lutoria was their favorite book. Like my readers love this the most. And after this entire adventure is over, they kind of go back again to recuperate and prepare for something else, which is it's the captain's main story arc. It's called, the seventh book is called Princess of the Stars. It goes heavily into his people's cultural troubles, and oh yeah, by the way, this cover is by one of my oldest fans, Lily. She she made this for me, and you can see that it's this is one of the things which I take a lot of joy from. It's the entire indie feel of it, because it's a beautiful cover. It's made by a good friend and a fan, and a person who loves all the characters. So this is I'm really proud of this. Um, but yes, you can see the front captain, the captain is with his lady friend,
Hmm.
and you can see Awesome
Also,
and an android behind him, and Kira and Boris. Boris is dressed in traditional Bulgarian attire, and this is Brunner, and
is the mouse over the right? No, no, that them, or is that over them over here?
no, on where you're pointing right now, this is Boris and Kira, and on the other
Okay.
side it's Brunner. It's like you can see he's much larger,
Yep.
and Lily is above him, like on a platform, dressed in a
Yep.
kimono. And Alaric and Vasilis are no, on the other side, with Vasilis is dressed in a blue evening. Yes, that's them. Um, and yeah, it's this book. It took me about 2 years, and I was working on other things too. I published a collection of short stories, an anthology, which is technically my eighth book. It's called A Mandate of Sword and Railgun. You can find it when you click on the author. Um, you will see all of the all of the books. Yeah, just click on the author where it says, yeah, it should show you. And it also shows the newest novella, The Rifle Song, Velin the Autorian, The Rifle Song.
This one right
Uh,
here.
yeah, this one right here. But when you click on that arrow to the side, you will also see the anthology. So it's the anthology has here it is, like this the last, I think the last thing in the row. Yeah, you can see it. Yeah, Amended of Sword and Rogan. This is it's a great collection of stories, which I wrote for my patrons, and plus, of course, a bonus story and a comprehensive glossary. And it's probably one of my bestsellers, because it's quite easy for the non-initiated people, readers, to get into the universe of Starshatter by reading this book, because the variety of stories is big, and they encompass a lot of the different aspects in this universe. Um, there is even a story about a Zentari female, so you can see the things from her perspective. Um, not just the man, which is
Mhm.
it's needed to have these various perspectives, so
Yeah.
we can.
And when the way you introduced all the characters in the first book, you got that variety of perspectives down quite well.
Oh yeah, that's the that's one of the goals. Um, I may have not pulled it off so perfectly, but I did achieve some of it, which was why I could later add more and more and more in the following books, because I had this base, this foundation of their each of the characters, their own backstory and everything.
I like that we went on an adventure with each individual character before they mostly came together. So when you did, it's like it's already a big team up happening because you kind of got invested in each one before you saw them group up.
Oh yes. What did you think about the way they met in the end?
That was fun. I'll be honest. Yep, I still got the spoilers thing up there. I actually felt a little bad for the head bounty hunter there. He took a job. He
That
went in
was
there. It's like
deliberate.
let's keep this peaceful. We don't want to cause problems. We just want to do our job. And then his employees, he hired idiots, so that still falls on him. Got him killed.
Yeah, yeah. That's
It's like he was the one antagonist that you didn't hate, and he got wasted. I'm like, oh,
he was like, guys, come on, don't do it, no. And I mean, this
he
is this
need.
is this is one of the things which you'll see throughout the series, that yeah, you have bad guys, you have bad gals, but not all of them are exactly the same. You have a different range of people, and they're not cut from the same cloth. And you have, starting from probably from the first chapter, where we had like poorly trained Tazaran soldiers, forcefully conscripted, who are who were basically, they were space troopers. They were trained to fight in space. They were wearing bulky spacesuits, and some idiot threw them in the jungle. They said, "Yeah, conquer that planet." This is like some noble idiot who is like probably inbred. He's like, "Yeah, I'm the greatest genius ever." It's
Just
just,
like that time I sent those people in scuba gear to check out the Antarctic.
yeah, yeah. That's and then you have people like this mercenary, who is actually, he's not stupid. He knows stuff. He knows how to command stuff, but he's given command a group of people who are reckless, and he tries to do the right thing, and not get killed, but they kind of screw him over because they're idiots, and they're way too reckless. And then you have uh, very competent and intelligent um, leaders, um, who have of course, they have their own motivations, and of course they're still evil, because I don't do the thing. I was like, oh, I'm going to this. He or she was just misunderstood. They were oppressed by the system, and that's why they became a mass murdering maniac, and that's blah blah blah. No, no, no. It's not. No, this type of Hollywood bullshit. I'm not doing it. So if
Yeah.
you read about any of the villains, any of the baddies, you get clear understanding who they are, what their goals are, uh, and you know that they are bad. It's like No,
I mean,
there is
some of them
no.
might be just mustache twirling bad guys, but they got there for a reason, and you
Yeah,
do reflect that they weren't just born like I'm a bad guy. How can I be diabolical today?
no, 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 no. And you have like in the second book, when you get introduced to the main antagonist, you clearly get where he's coming from and what his goals are, and why exactly he has these goals. What I'm sorry, what moved him to get to this place, to get to this stage. And of course you have you learn more about the different petty empires or groups, a lot more about them. You learn about their culture, you learn about their beliefs, you learn about their history, because they're not just all of them some cartoon villains,
Yeah,
because you need cartoon villains. Of course, you need all types of villains. You need them for um, the diversity of villainry. Just like you need all kind of heroic archetypes, you need to have the same opposed views.
very true. Or else it just gets stale.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna wrap this up in a minute here. Billy Bob Sack said, "By the way, I hate how YouTube search works. I put your name in and it didn't pop up. I had to put Star Shatter for it to show." Well, glad you found it. But I mean, also, let's face it, this particular channel name Wrangler, there's James Wrangler, Jeep, and there's probably a million Wranglers out there. But yeah, if future reference, if you're trying to find this channel in the search, Wrangler 212 will make it pop right away.
Nice.
But yeah, sometimes trying to find something on YouTube could be a real pain in the butt. All right, so we got your work all over Amazon. Um, oops, wrong button. Anywhere else people can find it, or is this primarily where you are?
Yeah, it's primarily where I have plans for a lot more things, many more books. I have the drafts and everything. It just takes time to it's especially when you're an indie. It takes a lot of time
Oh yeah,
to finish a project, as you as an author yourself know.
yeah, and you obviously put a lot of passion into the world building and learning more and more. World building is the how invaluable it is. It's not just part of the process; it is the base.
Yeah,
And
it's
you definitely you've got a set system that I've seen so far, and I'm like what you're doing. I am looking forward to the Twin Sons of Corolla.
I hope that reading my books inspires you to create more, because we need it. We sorely need it, especially in our current reality. We do need this more than ever.
Yes,
And
this is how we restore our culture
yeah, and
because it's gone off the rails.
the youth needs it, because they need something to counteract the propaganda they're being fed with. And I really believe that with the offset of the Iron Age um, movement, we can finally do a lot more uh, as um, as a group of creators, than just by single individual indies.
Actually, I put the link to Starshatter itself in the description, but let me Let me copy this link to the series itself and drop that right in the chat.
Ooh,
Does that show up on YouTube as a link, clickable link? Let me see.
it should show up.
Uh,
Yeah, it's working. When you click, yeah,
okay, good.
it's working.
All right. So, anything else you want to mention before we close this up?
Um, I know we kind of you picked my brain apart. It's I talked about pretty much everything that I had planned, even a lot more during the spoiler part. But um, in the coming days, I hope that together we can create more. We can help other creators like do what they are dreaming of doing, of creating. It would be very foolish if we don't. Um, and no matter what they're making, just like for example, let's say Shad with his new comic series
Oh,
and
I
his
can't wait for
new
that to come out.
space opera series, which I see from after watching some of his videos that a lot of the things which he's planning on doing, I have already wrote about them in my own
Oh yeah.
series.
Well, we
It's
I
similar.
noticed reading
Yeah.
through things we have a lot of common threads.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
I look at some of your characters, it reminds me of some of mine and how their characters were. One of your characters, his abilities were hampered, and then he overcame. I'm like, I kind of got similar systems. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's.
The big difference is you. I think you got wormholes and warp existing in your universe, and mine does not.
Yeah.
But
It's
I mean, other
that's.
than that, it's like the same similar concepts, different personalities.
Yep. Basically. So yeah, this is our goal, and I hope that the more indies come into the light and are revealed to the readers and other people who like, let's say, comics or animation or games, maybe indie games, etc., etc. Like
Oh, yeah.
they will.
I know it's well known now, but I have this, which
Oh yeah, yeah,
Team Cherry is an indie studio. I
yeah.
this blew up big, but I am a sucker for the search action platforms, the Metroidvanias.
Nice. So yeah, it's doesn't matter the medium which we indies are creating. It
Like Till
matters
Kid,
that.
he makes some really cool music.
Oh yes, yes, and he's one of my friends, close friends, and he made a song which is about it's called the guns of MS Starshatter.
I
It's you can find it on YouTube and his page.
gotta check
So
it out.
yeah, it's I've been promoting him and many others, including of course my good friend Neutron Borg, who makes the new covers for my books. Um, it's this is for me. This is a natural thing to do because I like when others succeed. I and one of the things which I hate the most is this um, the crabs in a bucket
Yeah,
situation, which I've seen it on many so-called writers groups
and it's sad
forums.
because it's like they don't even realize they're doing it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And some are doing it out of spite because they
Yeah.
have realized that they will never succeed. They don't have the drive to improve themselves and to change, so they can succeed. And they have giant egos, and this is what drives them to sabotage others and basically constantly gaslight others into staying exactly where they are and not progressing, just inside
But
this, inside the, like, staying on the bottom of this bucket.
yeah. But
It's disgusting.
that's the purpose of this channel. And if you're watching this on regular or frequency, that's what I'm doing, is trying to find other creators, prop them up, let their stuff be known. And thank you so much for being here. That's a huge part of it. And it sounds like you're doing a lot of the same, promoting other authors, promoting other creators, rebuilding our culture that's been ripped apart from the inside out by the corporate establishment that just seems to want to clunk everything down into one weird sameness, almost Borg like, you know?
Oh yes, exactly. They are so keen on controlling everything that if you're making something which is not cut of their own cloth, what what their so-called vision, their
Mm-hmm.
global vision is, you're immediately branded as a Nazi, as some sort of East phobe or something, so that the general public is conditioned to avoid you. And I mean, so far they've been successful. But
I kind of am a little guilty on the opposite end because I generally try to avoid the general public. So maybe,
well,
so I'm
uh,
doing them a favor by accident.
so yeah, it's well, like I said earlier, it's quite hopeful. It's called a hopeful movement. This Iron Age movement.
And it's
So
just beginning.
it's just starting. Next year, I think a lot of new things will kind of explode from within our movement, and we'll see more comic books. We'll see indie games. We'll see maybe short movies, and of course a lot of books. And I'm planning on releasing probably another novella, because I have already have like a few drafts about this new character of mine, which is also set in the same universe, by the way, if you're wondering. Um, and of course,
Is all your current work within the same continuity, or
yeah, it's while I'm working on this space opera series, all the books will be that I'm working on will be set there. I have other um, projects. I have two more decalogies, so 20 books. Um, two more series, which one of is set during the Second World War in Starshatter with different characters. It's because it's um, and you will meet, by the way, some of these characters as like a very old people in the books, which you will read soon. um, and we'll see. I don't want to talk too much about like these incoming
yeah,
books.
that'll get way too spoilery.
No, 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 and then not only spoilery, but you don't know what could happen. I may not be able to write them, and you're just leaving people with false hope.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So one more time, let me put this up. Oh, Oh, uh, there we go. Hit the wrong button, almost removed it entirely. Yeah, Starshatter by Black Knight, 7 in the series available now, 8 in the works. And you said the plan is a 10-book story arc, right?
Oh yes, it's
Plan to be 10.
it should be.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was great to have you.
Thank you
Ladies
for
and
having me.
gentlemen, Black Knight, this guy has got a mind for sci-fi, and he's got a big world he's built up, multiple worlds. So check it out. Link is in the description. If you enjoyed this presentation, hit the like. If you didn't, I appreciate you stopping by. I'll see y'all next time. God bless.